The timing is nothing special because the book was completed and was ready for publication. But it has been something in the works for some time. Before the decision to convert the writing project into a book, it was what in MFA we call Prof S Jaya's writing project. And the genesis of that was whenever I had dialogue sessions or discussions with MFA officers or civil service college sessions, and I used specific events and episodes to illustrate the foreign policy narrative, I found that they were very interested, and these episodes were a way of bringing the otherwise dry doctrine of foreign policy into a real focus. So that prompted me to think of capturing this in different written chapters. That's how the writing project started, and this goes back at least about 3 years ago. So I began writing individual chapters whenever I had the time and needed the assistance of some of the officers to dig up the files and so on. And over a course of about 2 to 3 years, I had collected about 15 to 16 chapters. And these were then compiled into a volume which initially was in a raw form. We tested it out on MFA officers. You know, MFA has its induction course for young foreign service officers, and this was used as one of the materials for the MFA officers as an introduction to what foreign policy is all about. But I also used that to see how we can improve it. The foreign service officers gave very useful feedback, which chapters they found interesting, which they felt needed elaboration, more details, more examples. At the same time, the Civil Service College was interested, and they too used the volume as case studies, and I had very useful feedback from them. As I said in my book, originally that was my objective, to get public officers as well as MFA officers interested in what foreign policy is all about. But as different people read it, they also felt that it was too limited an objective, and I should, in fact, consider publication. And as Dr. Tony Tan said, it's a story that deserves a wider audience. And as I reflected on it, I thought that there was a point, because for the citizen, foreign policy may appear as a mysterious topic which does not feature high on the national agenda. And it's important, I think, that Singaporeans also understand that foreign policy, as with other aspects of Singapore, whether it's defense, economy, security, foreign policy is also driven by national interests. And there's a very close linkage, as I try to demonstrate in my book, between foreign policy and what else we're doing in Singapore. It's a mirror of the progress and achievements we have made. So I thought it's a fair point that we should also have the story be read and understood by Singaporeans, so that the Singaporeans will also understand some of the realities of the real world which affect the foreign policy, the decisions and responses. Well, all these episodes are episodes where I was involved in, so it's not so much what was of interest when I was researching, but every episode, in my view, has a story behind it and a lesson behind it. But taken together, what these episodes show is that if we are skillful, if we have very good people, there's room for a small country to play a relevant role in regional and international affairs. And I make the point that in the real world, in the international arena, is a world where the big players actually call the shots. The bigger you are, the more clout you have. But I try to show through examples that this does not mean small countries have no role at all. They can have a role. But how that role is carried out depends on so many factors, and I try to spell out what are the factors. You can have brilliant ideas, but at the end of the day, you must have good people. Your country has to be respected. And everybody in Singapore has to pull together as a team. These are three main factors which I highlight. And as I recalled all these events in the course of researching, I became more convinced than ever that these factors underpin the success of our foreign policy and will continue to be critical factors for us. I mean, if you are a failed country, then nobody is going to give you the time of the day. So I strongly believe that all the attributes of Singapore's success story have to be maintained. Then countries look to you as a model, they respect you, and when you speak, whether as an ambassador or as a minister, countries will take note.